Hello, Nicole Steckline, Technical Agronomist for DeKalb and Asgrow in Northeast Iowa. Today is June 29th and it's very hot, it's humid, and we've been getting a lot of moisture over the last couple of days, with more to come tonight. So I've been getting a lot of questions with tasseling and reproductive growth right around the corner. What are we looking at for a disease forecast? So I've been out in a lot of fields and I've been seeing a lot of marks, could be lesions on leaves, but I wanted to take some time and talk firstly about northern corn leaf blight. So this has been a very economically important disease for us here in Northeast Iowa the last couple of years, especially since it's becoming earlier in the season. In 2015, this was largely due to the weather events that we had, and that there was a lot of acres planted to genetics that were susceptible to them. So that started to build our inoculum load. And then last year in 2016, the weather again was conducive for northern corn leaf blight development, which further increased our inoculum load in our soils, both in corn and soybean fields. So planting into the bean residue wasn't a complete fix for our issue. So what are we looking at this year? Last 2 years, the northern corn leaf blight started showing up in Iowa around June 20th, and the last year it started showing up about a week earlier. So we're right on track now for that June beginning development of northern corn leaf blight. So northern corn leaf blight likes weather in that 70 to 83 degrees. It likes it humid with dewy mornings, particularly if we can get some free water sitting on that leaf so that it can move its inoculum, those spores, on down the leaf. So a lot of what I'm seeing out in the field, let's see here, would be these specks in the field. And right now, it's a little early to be able to tell if these are disease or not. With a lot of the hot and dry weather that we had during spring, and the fact that I'm finding these fairly consistently throughout a field, tells me that maybe it is a little bit of burn from oil that got down into the whirl while we were spraying our herbicide. So lesions like this, I'm not ready to call them northern corn leaf blight yet, but I would definitely be keeping an eye on them. Other things that we're seeing, Locust leaf spot. This is a perfectly round circle. It's a bacterial disease and it's not economically important in Iowa, but it is something that we're starting to see more of, and when you're out in the field with a grower, this way you can at least identify it. Obviously fungicides aren't going to do anything for it because it is a bacterial disease, much like Goss's wilt, which is something else I'd like to take a little time on. So here in the far eastern Iowa, in 2011, Goss's wilt inoculum was brought from the western states such as Nebraska. It was brought in on a wind event early July, so it damaged our plants and it brought in the bacterial disease. So Goss's wilt is a bacterial disease and it needs an infection point, which would be wind damage, or in a lot of cases in our area this year, hail damage. So as we go out and we start scouting these fields, let's keep in mind that we do have potential for Goss's wilt on acres that will have that inoculum load, particularly those with susceptible genetics. Something else that you might see out in the field that you could freak out a little bit if you see it would be a plant like this one that I have here. So we've got leaves that they look like there's a nutrient deficiency, and then you start seeing dead spots. It looks like disease has completely taken over this plant, when in truth, this is kind of a genetic abnormality. It's called disease lesion mimic, which is a genetic condition where this plant feels a stress, whether it was hot, dry, or some other sort of nutrient deficiency, and it detects it as stress, so it starts shutting down the plant cells, and you get a pattern that looks like this. So if you see this out in the field, it's not a disease, it's just a genetic disposition to shut down leaves in response to stress. Common rust is also just starting to creep in. So that's all I've got for now of what I'm seeing. As we start to see things showing up and develop, I will update you again.